One thing that was unique in each and every one of them, of these five, and who might be watching in online or here, one thing that was unique was they had a lot of struggles. You know, it's such a struggle to try to be a good human. It's such a struggle to try to heal yourself. It's such a struggle to try to perfect yourself. Such a struggle to be a better person. And it doesn't work. It does not work. And for each and every one of these five, after going through a lot of struggles and trying to make themselves better and trying to make themselves spiritual or just nice or not so flawed or not with weaknesses, after a lot of struggling with this and a lot of crazy dreams, they kind of work hand in hand. They woke up one morning, each and every one of them, one morning, and suddenly they just got it. They just got it. It's an interesting study in a way, because after all the struggle with no real end in sight, not knowing that it was going to be within a week or a month or a year, no real end in sight, they just got it. It came together. And they woke up that morning, and instead of a feeling of struggle, how do I do enlightenment? How can I become realized? How can I be this person I have tried to be, that I thought I wanted to be? They woke up in the morning after a rather intense night of dreams, and there was a calmness. And there wasn't all that activity in the mind, and there wasn't that struggle. There wasn't a great big question mark sitting right in front of them when they woke up. Instead, they woke up and they took a deep breath and they just smiled. I got it, they said. I got it. Now, it wasn't lightning bolts. It wasn't like some of the experiences that some of you have had with cosmic consciousness, the feelings of tremendous soaring into other realms, but also with a tremendous imbalance in the human body and mind. It was a calmness. And it was without all the questions and all the nagging doubts and all the wondering when. It was for each and every one of them, a calm and peaceful moment. It wasn't the type of moment they wanted to run down the street screaming at the top of their lungs, I'm enlightened, I'm enlightened. It was just there. And it was such a feeling of relief. No tension, no wondering what's going to happen next. And not because they thought about not thinking about what was going to happen next, trying not to think about it, but there just wasn't the thought. They didn't have to try to think about the natural state of enlightenment. It was just there. They didn't have to wonder what's coming with this world, because in a way, it doesn't matter. They didn't carry it on their shoulders because they know that it's absolutely in perfection the way it is. And they didn't wonder how much light they brought into their body, or how much of their ancestors they've released or not released, or whether they're going to get cancer, or how old they're. All of this ceased just like that for each and every one of them. It was just all there, realized. It was actually a feeling of simplicity and grace, one that cannot be thought of in the mind. You can't think your way into grace or simplicity. You can allow it. And it happened to these five because, well, they'd reached the end of their limits. If I had introduced you to them a year ago and said, here's the one that is going to be realized, one of the five in a year from now, you would have thought that I was joking or lying. You wouldn't have imagined, because in a way they were an emotional wreck. Their lives were so imbalanced. They were so fragile. So very fragile, not sensitive. Sensitive is okay, fragile, like they're going to break apart. They were so on the borderline of joining the other 100 or so who crossed over, so on the borderline. You wouldn't have thought you would want that as your standard, your example of somebody who's going to be one of the 5 first masters on the planet. No, you wouldn't have. But I bring that up to each and every one of you. I bring it up because your journey is so much the same. The questions, the doubts, the wondering when, the trying hard, the trying to be a good or better human. Each one of these 5 finally said no more. In a way, they gave up. They stopped. They were so fragile, they were afraid they were going to blow apart, and they probably would have, but they just stopped. And they stopped trying. They stopped working at it. They were kind of in a no place, a no zone for a while. That's what happens when you just stop. It feels terribly uncomfortable for the human, but not for the master. Terribly uncomfortable to stop the ceaseless activities. Terribly uncomfortable not to have a program for that day, not to have to study your spirituality or practice it. Actually, not even to think about it. Terribly uncomfortable because it's not the suit of clothes you've been wearing. It's not you. It's hard to identify with that, but they had no place else to go other than the other side. So they just stopped. And when they did, that momentum, that directive of fulfillment was finally able to come in. All the aspects, all the parts and pieces, all of the fragments, all of the lost parts of themselves were able to come in. And what really happened in that big night of dreams that preceded their waking up in the morning into realization, what really happened was that the singular being that they thought they were, and that you think you are, that singular being, suddenly really opened up and allowed in the and. You can't think your way into and. You can know what it means, but you can't think your way into it. You cannot work your way into it. You can't earn your way into it. You can understand the energetic concept that you're not a singular human. You have been for many, many lifetimes, living in a singular reality and believing it, believing this reality. That's kind of the joke, but it's a good joke and a bad joke. That's kind of a very interesting experience, very interesting experience in what the perception and what consciousness can do to live in singularity. But you were never intended to be that way. And I tell you this as we open up our transhuman series. Transhuman means going beyond just the human, transcending humanness, not going out of it. And that's one of the common misperceptions. Well, let's go from being human to being Superman. No, you don't. There's still the human. And there is so much more. It's a very, very simple physics of enlightenment. And it's receiving that and. And that's what these 5 did. Each and every one of them, a night of dreams, kind of like the Last Supper, but doing it in the dream state, doing kind of in a way, a ceremony, a final bringing together, and then the awakening in the morning. When was the last time you woke up in the morning feeling absolutely refreshed? Not recently. Don't even kid yourself or me. Not recently. You wake up in the morning feeling groggy at best, tired often, but they woke up in the morning and not feeling like they just drank 20 cups of coffee and had a lot of false energy. They woke up in the morning and it was simply feeling clean. Calder's throwing that word in. Thank you, Virgo. Simply feeling clean on the inside. When was the last time you felt really clean on the inside? Really without the grit and without the dust and the dirt and the grime and the oil and the garbage, but they woke up just feeling refreshed and not thinking to themselves, oh, geez, I got to go get a T-shirt that says, I'm an enlightened being, in case you're into T-shirts. But just having relaxed into enlightenment. And the biggest thing was, the most important thing was they stopped trying. Now, granted that they did a lot of work, like you. They went through a lot of hells and a lot of insights. They went through a lot. But all of a sudden when they stopped, it was like now everything they had done, all the work that they had done, all the things that they had learned, everything was suddenly able to swoop in, to be within. It wasn't just out there in pieces anymore. It just came in. What did they do the rest of the day? You wonder? Now, they didn't say, I'm a master either. It's just like, I just feel so clean and clear. Later on, it wasn't until actually later on they started to say, is this realization? Is this enlightenment? And then it's like, it doesn't matter because I'm not searching for it anymore. I'm not trying for it anymore. Therefore, it must be. If that is not my goal, then I must have made it. If suddenly I don't care about it, then I must be. What did they do the rest of the day? Well, they did what they would normally do, but they didn't do it with the stress and with the wondering, am I contracted some disease? Oh God, did a mosquito bite me? Do I have Zika virus? And they just went about their day. But could you imagine for a moment going about your day and not having that friction, not having that weight, not having that nagging doubt, not wondering what's coming next, just doing it. They had simple days. A few of them went to the grocery store because they were hungry. That's what you do. They didn't suddenly manifest the food in front of them, but they can. But they didn't. They went to the grocery store, but there was an ease. And there wasn't the stress of going to the store and the stress of worrying, oh, God, are these organic and are these vegetarian? And it's like they didn't worry about that. Or is there too much sugar? Or there wasn't that stress. It was meaningless. And they didn't have to fight, resist an urge to go buy a big chocolate cake. And say, oh, no, I really want that, but it just wasn't there. The stress wasn't there. And if they bought the cake, fine. If they didn't, fine. But you know what that's like? Oh, God, I would love that, but I can't eat that. Oh, stop tormenting me with your chocolate.
Did any of them go to Costco for lunch?
No, I don't think they went food sampling at Costco. At least that's what, I don't know Costco, but Caldra is telling me, no, do not do food sampling there. And a few of them went to their jobs, but two of them had a job, three of them did not work. That should tell you something. Didn't have a regular job. And a few of them took their beloved pets out for a walk in the park. And two of them took a very long nap. Thought, hey, if that last night's sleep was good, I'm going to take a nap. It's going to be even better when I wake up. They just took a nap because they could. They continued on with their life, but with a whole different perspective, not a mental perspective, something very experiential. They were there. They were there. Could you imagine for a moment when the body not feeling the tiredness and not feeling the jet stream of your ancestors, it's sucking you back in. It just wasn't there. I mean, they all realized, their biological family, but that suction wasn't there. And I would say the biggest thing was just the mind stuff wasn't there. What am I doing? Who am I? When am I going to get enlightened? None of that was there. Could you imagine a difference in your day? They didn't go out and perform little feats of magic, making gold coins appear in their hands. It was meaningless. That's what a human does. But a master doesn't have to play that game. The master doesn't have to go impress others by, producing things out of nothing. It's meaningless. That actually drags you more back into being a singular human than it does into singularity of the master. And there's a big difference. The words sound the same, but there is a huge difference in the words. One had a relationship. 4 did not. That should tell you something. That there are some who can do a really good relationship, yes. Would you like a drink?
Oh, yeah.
Relationships are difficult, and those who can do it are truly admired and honored. But relationships, while you're going through this, are difficult. But 4 did not have relationships. 1 did, and that 1 did not go and tell their, what do you call it these days, their partner, live-in, whatever. Did not run and tell the person, oh, you wouldn't believe what happened. I'm enlightened and you're not. Or that thing you've been laughing at me about for all these years, for that group I went to, well, it finally happened. There was no need to mention it. Can you just imagine that for a moment? You wake up in the morning after about 10 lifetimes of really hard work, trying to be a spiritual person, and then you let it all go, and suddenly it's all there. You wake up in the morning, and it's just this feeling of, I'm alive. I am that I am. I am here. No battle about it anymore. No trying to make yourself any better. I guess you would call it an acceptance, an allowing. I am that I am. And with that, the realization, I am here. I'm a human. I'm functioning on this planet. And I am all these other things. And that was what they finally allowed in. That's what sank in. If there's any message that they had for each and every one of you, which I asked them, any message from 5 who have actually allowed it, stop trying so hard. Stop working on your human self. It will get you no further. It will maybe make you think you're doing something. It'll occupy your time. It'll give you a certain sense of mission, goal, battle. But ultimately, the 5 would tell you, just stop it right now. Be the human and be everything else that comes along. That's it. And then you'll have a night of dreams, and you'll wake up in the morning, and you'll have that sense of clear and clean, because that directive of fulfillment, that bringing everything together is there. All this is natural. Yes, there's a lot we talk about. When I'm talking with you, it's to reassure you. I think there's that constant dilemma. Am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? I'm actually not really teaching you anything. I'm just reassuring you. I give you some words. I do a little distracting, but I'm saying to you, you're on the right path. Now, stop trying to be so right and just allow. We're coming into this year, this series this year, and how do I paint this picture for you? You've done all the work. Those of you who are still here, those of you who haven't left, and nothing wrong with those who have left, but they wanted to keep working on the human. But for those of you who are still here, this is the year when you just take that deep breath. You stop trying. I mean, everything in your life. It doesn't mean that, Calder's asking me, for instance, well, so you don't build a beautiful master's club. Well, no, is that trying, or is that just being creative? It's work, but you're not trying to just improve yourself. You know the difference between you go out and build something just because you can, or you create a song because you can, or you create a class because you can, or do a painting because you can. That's not working. That's just living. But versus the constant grinding away, you can almost feel the gears grinding away as you're trying to work on yourself, improve yourself, make yourself more spiritual, make that human better. It's time to let that go. Be really good. Be allowing of the human. And then you start to realize there's so much more. That's where we're going. That's why I want to call it the transhuman series. My dear friends, there is all these collisions taking place out there right now. And especially when you get into things like enlightenment, it really actually makes it much more complex. The mind starts working more than ever before, as you have probably discovered. And now you have spirit mind, I'm going to call it. Spirit mind operating as well. You used to have just human mind. Now you got spirit mind, which means a limited and restricted sense of spirituality. And it's actually all a bunch of crap. It really is. It truly is. Because now the mind starts to try to embrace and to own a lot of spiritual concepts. The spiritual concept, heal thyself. I am in peace, love, and joy. I'm going to om and meditate. That's the biggest bunch of crap. By the way, in enlightenment, you're not suddenly filled with peace. You're not suddenly oming. That is the biggest delusion there can possibly be. It doesn't happen. Not like that. Matter of fact, the word peace goes out the door in enlightenment. It's not even a word anymore. It's not even in your vocabulary. Peace, all peace means to a lot of people is give me 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes of just things quieting down for a few moments. That's peace. I just need to back away. I need to get away from myself. That's peace. There's no peace. But suddenly there's a consonance. There's a harmony in things. Suddenly there's not having to figure it all out. Suddenly there's no longer these conflicts going on. Suddenly there's such a grace, a natural grace that takes place, and you just break out laughing. You just crack up laughing because it's, it just is. And we'll get there in a moment. But right now, we're still back in what a mess. What a mess. What a mess. What a mess. And what do? You take a drink. What a mess. You have all these conflicting desires and truths, what you would think truth, and beliefs about things, and they're all conflicting. They're all conflicting. It would be like, imagine getting into a car. The car is the symbol of your spiritual journey to your enlightenment, but having no clue of where you're going. You get in.
That's like getting here today.
Like getting acting it out, you see. Having no idea where you're going. Just you get in that car on the road to enlightenment and you start going. Well, what do you start realizing? First, I don't know where I'm going. But you tell yourself, well, something will happen along the way. Someone will tell me how to get there. Somehow I'm going to get a map so I'll know how to get to enlightenment. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. Sorry to say. Then you're driving along on the road to enlightenment, and it's a nice, pleasant day, and you're looking out the window and say, oh, yeah, this is okay, but you're a little tentative. You're like, oh, I hope this is okay, but I'll make myself think it's okay. I'll make myself think, oh, what a beautiful sky and the birds. Oh, I just hit a deer. But front row laughs. What a mess. What a mess. Yeah. And then you realize, oh, that car's making a funny noise. Oh boy, I'm just going to ignore that noise. Have you done that? I'm just going to ignore the noise. I hear it, but it couldn't, because this is my car to enlightenment. So I'm going to ignore that noise. And you know what happens? 2 miles down the road, psst. Could you do the sound effects for us, Mopo? Yeah. So would you mind giving the microphone, Linda, so we can get the sound effects properly put in here? On the road to enlightenment, you hear that clanking noise. You ignore it because you're on the road to enlightenment. Everything's going to work out, and all of a sudden, Good. And the car dies. What do you do?
What a mess.
Yeah. There we go again. We probably needed 5 bottles for today with all these what a mess. Car dies. A lot of things happen. Once again, you get into this dissonance with saying, I'm supposed to be on the road to enlightenment, but my car just died. Maybe Spirit is trying to tell me something. No, maybe you forgot to get the car checked before you went on the journey. Maybe you forgot to check the oil. It was a little low. We're making sure that there was something in the radiator. Spirit's not trying to tell you a damn thing. Spirit is already enlightened, doesn't really care about your journey, you see. That was funny, wasn't it? Yeah. She gets an Adamus award just for laughing. Yeah. Please, Linda. She needs another drink. Yeah. Yes. Where are those Adamus awards, by the way? Linda? Where is Linda, by the way? An Adamus award for laughter.
I don't have them with me today. You never give them out. You're so stingy.
What a
I forgot
mess. Oh, the one day, so you get all the money. I have no idea what's in there.
Ooh, $2.
So you're on the journey. So suddenly you have to use the last of your savings to get your enlightenment car repaired, and you start heading back down the road going to you don't know where. And you're going down the road to enlightenment, and one day on this long journey that lasts many lifetimes, one day you're going as fast as you possibly can. And all you've done is get nowhere faster. And the next day, your spiritual mind says, oh, I should slow down and smell the roses like the masters did. You know, they went very slowly on the road to enlightenment, and they observed everything, and they breathed, and while they're on the road to enlightenment, so you go very slow. So you alternate between on this enlightenment journey going very fast and then going very slow, putting on the gas, putting on the brakes, putting on the gas, putting on the brakes. Do you see the conflict that's going on here? You continue along this journey of enlightenment. Now, getting to a level of frustration and angst that simply would have me leave my body. I just couldn't have handled what you are going through. You're going along now. You've been at this journey for years, driving along. It's the same road. It's the same set of problems. It's the same cheap hotels every night along the journey, and the same people who are trying to rob you blind. But you keep going because you're determined. And you think that's an attribute. You think that's like one of those on the positive side of the list. I'm determined. I have strong will. Damn it, I'm going to see my enlightenment through no matter what. I'm never giving up. And when I hear you say that, I think, oh my gosh, I hope that somebody else comes and helps me because this is going to be hard. When I hear you say, I'm never giving up, this is what I'm going to do, I think to myself, we've got a real problem here, Houston. Because they're determined to go nowhere. What does even an ascended master do at that point? You get stubborn. You get brutally, cruelly stubborn on your road to nowhere. But damn it, you're going to do it because you've made a commitment to yourself. And if you don't do it, you're really going to be embarrassed in front of your friends and family because everybody knows about your little enlightenment journey and they all laughed about it. And if you come back and say, oh, my car broke down, I went broke along the way, I'm starving, I have nothing, and it's all gone, they're going to laugh at you. So there's this pride of enlightenment. Pride of the spiritual mind that you better damn well fulfill this journey or you're going to look like a fool. There's also the factor you're going to look like a big fool for yourself, and that's probably right as bad or worse than feeling like a fool in front of others. You are so committed to your journey of enlightenment. Within yourself, it's everything. It's everything. And if this doesn't work out, and if this magic is not real, and you have to go back to that old self. What a mess. And the funny thing is, you really can't go back. And the funny thing is, you can't go forward. And the funny thing is, there's nowhere else to go. That's a real mess. What a big mess. Is there any more alcohol left? Yeah, good. What a mess. I hope by now you're starting to understand the conflict, the dissonance in all of this. And I hope you're starting to understand this is a big train wreck on the way to happening. So you're driving along on this road to enlightenment, and it goes on and on and on, and each day is the same as the next, and you keep having hopes of enlightenment. You keep hoping that I'll suddenly enlighten you. You keep hoping if it's not me, you're going to leave me. You're going to go somewhere else for the enlightenment. You keep hoping that there's something.
Pass a bill in Congress against brain
And you're hoping to distract me by something else, but I'm going to keep driving home the point. It's a mess in there. It's a real mess. It's an enlightenment mess. And the good news is, on this road to nowhere, you're exactly where you should be. No. And let me rephrase that now for you. I said, on this road to nowhere, on the road to enlightenment, with all the conflict and all the dissonance in it, you're absolutely exactly where you should be. Because what? A mess? No. You can have a drink on that. No, actually, it's perfect. It's perfect. And all of the things I've said up to now are, we need some more beverages out here. Some more lemonade or whatever people are drinking. What? A mess? Not really. It's absolutely perfect. And what I would like to do now, especially since you're a little more relaxed than you were an hour ago, I want you to take a moment and remember this whole thing with enlightenment. It didn't start with a thought. It didn't start with suddenly one day you got so tired of your old life that you decided you're going to get enlightened. It didn't start even when somebody took you to a class or you read a book. No, my friends, it did not. It started with a deep knowingness, a very profound deep knowingness. It was not a thought. It was not an action. It was not a journey. It was a knowingness that emanated from very deep within. It's gotten abused, it's gotten distorted, it's gotten very, very diluted along the way. But this knowingness has always been there. You don't know what enlightenment is, and you shouldn't know, for the limited mind has no way of knowing. It will try to pretend, it will try to imagine even. A very cheap type of imagination is you being rich and famous and sexy and having all sorts of relationships and being a grand guru and a master. That's what the mind does. It's a distraction. It's not real. Who knows what is going to happen? And it doesn't matter, period. It doesn't matter. So I ask you to take a moment and come back to the knowingness. The knowingness that was not a thought. It never was a car. It never was a journey. It never was about trying to be a perfect human. It was never about anything other than coming back to yourself. It wasn't Macchio, it wasn't phrases and words, it wasn't sitting here in the Shambhala audience, and it wasn't efforting. It wasn't about power. It wasn't about even wisdom. It wasn't about getting anything. It was a knowingness, a deep, loving knowingness, a knowingness that wasn't an angel or an ascended master coming to you, a knowingness that wasn't given by another, prompted by another, brought into action by another. It came from you. It wasn't your golden angel, your higher self, or any of those other words. It was you. It was all you. Not just the human, not what you call the divine. It was the I am, the true I am, that's as present here as the human is. It's right here. So I'd like to do a feeling. I'm not even going to call it a mirab, just a feeling back into that knowingness. Get the lights down, please. After all this mess and all this chaos and confusion, after all this uncertainty within yourself, because I've seen and I've heard when you've wondered if this was just a big mistake. You've wondered if your spiritual journey was a delusion. Well, yes, it was. But it started with something so pure, so real, and so deep. Now, we get a little music in the background. I'm not asking you to go back and think about this, where this knowingness came from. It doesn't matter. It's without a date. It's without an action. It's without any relationship. You see, part of the problem in the spiritual journey is that the mind still tries to relate everything to everything else. And when we say the word spiritual or enlightenment, it tries to relate to something. It'll grab onto whatever it can in its relational nature. But the knowingness, that deep knowingness that you had, doesn't need to relate to anything. It just knows. It's just there. The mind tries to figure out the road to enlightenment. It's just trying to serve you. It's trying to do for you, but it can't know. The mind will try to relate to something. It'll create a visual of a car going down the highway, breaking down. It'll create the visual of you in your determination and stubbornness for enlightenment. But the reality is there's no car. The reality is there's no place to go. Nothing that has to be done. Certainly nothing that has to be fixed. Absolutely. It's one of the tricks or the delusions of enlightenment. Something has to be fixed before enlightenment can occur. But it doesn't. Nothing needs to be fixed. Whatsoever. Not one thing needs fixing. Not a single thing. I don't care if you're an alcoholic, if you're an idiot. It doesn't need to be fixed. Some of you related to that, didn't you? Nothing needs to be fixed. So I ask you to take a deep breath and stay in your body this time. Come back to that knowingness. You created it, not some grand golden angel, not some higher self. That was you. The knowingness, the I am. Following this knowingness came thoughts, dreams, and imaginations about awakening, enlightenment. Following this knowingness came a change in energy dynamics in your life, in relationships, in the way you interact with yourself and others. But none of those even are very important. None of them. They're not the thing that brings enlightenment. It was a simple knowingness. So simple, there's no definition. So simple that the mind cannot relate anything to it. So simple that you cannot recreate it. You cannot recreate it because it's still there, my friends. It never left. That knowingness, the I am, that was never extinguished. In front of that flame of knowingness, you put a lot of other things. Grand, interesting experience into your own awakening. But that flame was always there. I know at times you've tried to recreate it. Where is that feeling? It's still there. Actually is what's really guiding you. Sometimes when you wonder why certain things happen in your life, why certain events, situations happen, because that knowingness is still there. In spite of your stubbornness and your determination, it knows the truth. It knows it is the way. It knows that it's the awakening. It's the only thing, my friends, that will remain true and real. When I say that I cringe when I hear Shambhara saying, I'm going to keep going no matter what, I truly wish they would just stop. Get rid of that car, get rid of their journey, get rid of all the macchio, and the macchio is the gas for the journey. Never fill that tank again. Get rid of the whole thing. Just come back to the knowingness. Nothing else matters. Nothing else is important. Nothing else is going to bring the awareness of the enlightenment. Nothing. The knowingness, so subtle, can't even be defined. The mind has no concept. Mind has no way to relate to it. Take a deep breath and let yourself fall right into your own knowingness. Be in that beautiful embrace of the knowingness. The knowingness was never a directive. It wasn't a directive that said you have to awaken now. It had nothing to do with destiny or timing. You got a glimpse of it. Just a taste of it. when you let down your guard, when you surrendered to the I am, to yourself for a moment. That glimpse of it created a lot of mind thought, a lot of machio, a lot of determination. I love you, Shambha, for your determination. Determined to what? Come now and let all that battling, determination, will, drive, push, force, power, let it all down. Amazing, you'll be okay. Actually better than ever before. You stop trying so hard. Stop being afraid. It's all right there. In you, not me, in you. The knowingness, the I am. Knowingness, it's time to come home. Time to come home to the I am, to the awareness. Time to integrate. Just time to come home. Isn't it funny that you had the knowingness that it was time to come home to the I am, but you got in a car and went off on a long journey? Home was right there. Absolutely right there. I guess that's why I say it was just perfect. In a way, exactly where you should be. And I kind of had to go through all the trials and tribulations before you just wore yourself out and said, here I am. So you stop the searching. There should be a law against spiritual searching. There should be a law against laws, so. Oh, it's spiritual searching. It's an industry, you know. It's a distraction. I guess it's an experience. It's frustrating because it's all right if you're doing the spiritual searching and you're aware that you're just searching for the sake of searching. It gets a little sad when you're doing the searching and you think it's real. When you think it's actually going to get you somewhere. Now home. Home is calling you. Home's within. No place to go. No words to hide behind. Nothing to do. Nothing to fix. Just coming back home. Without buts. Without the buts. But what am I going to do when I walk out the door? Not a damn thing. Go about gossiping if you want, drinking, carousing, searching, thinking, battling. When you walk out that door today, you're going to do it at least aware that you're doing it. At least aware that you don't need to do it. At least aware that it was that knowingness that called you. And it's still calling. It's still there. And there's not a damn thing you need to do. Nothing. Take a good deep breath. Try to stay in your body. Let go of some of that tension. Oh my, the tension about awakening and enlightenment. The stress. I'd be a good song, Stress of Enlightenment. If I'd have told you, if Tobias had told you 12 years ago, you don't need to do anything. You'd have still gone out searching. You'd have still gone broke. Had health issues and all the rest of the stuff. So I guess you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. Right now. Home is calling. All the time. Good deep breath. Some of your friends, you can bring down the music a little bit. We'll just stay in this nice, quiet lighting for a moment. Remember, it's your knowingness. Ever get in trouble while you're out there doing your everyday human things? Just remember a couple things from today. I'm amazed that you got through it. That was a big mess. A big, big dissonance. And you kept on trying to fix the dissonance. That's the interesting thing. And that caused more dissonance. You kept on trying to fix things that could not be fixed ever. But it made you feel good. Like at least you were fixing something, working on something. And the more you tried to fix, the more broken it got. That's it. It was just about remembering. Home is calling. Always is. That's all you need to do. We'll only do a couple here. What's the last thing a person does before realization of their enlightenment? Yes, Vince.
Why'd I wait so long?
Yeah, but that's a thought. But what's the last thing you do?
You just give it all up.
Good. Good. That's the answer to my question. That's what I would have answered. You stop trying. Last thing somebody does. Now, maybe some of you thought there's some great big mystical thing you do. Yeah, you stop trying. You just let it go. I call it allowing. Stop trying. Stop efforting. Stop pushing. Stop trying to figure it out. It's going to happen. So why screw with it? Why interfere with it? It's going to happen. All of you should be breathing a sigh of relief right now. Oh, God. No, truly. If you do a study of the Ascended Masters, and you look at kind of their path, there's a lot of common things that they did. They all studied a lot. They all disciplined a lot. They all agonized a lot. Felt really bad for all, guilty. That's kind of a weird part of the process. Just, I did all this bad stuff. Please forgive me. Well, but then they stop trying. They give up. And I bring this back a little bit to the story of Yeshua and you coming here to plant that seed of divinity. Then you studying, sequestering yourself in these sacred organizations, and then getting sick and tired of it and just walking away, disillusioned. It's almost like that now. You're almost sick and tired of your own path, of what you've been doing, of your spirituality. Even the word doesn't even sound so good anymore. It's like, spirituality is just another excuse for not being human in life, in yourself. So you get sick of it, and suddenly, whether it's done consciously or unconsciously, you just stop trying. I'm so tired of that. That didn't get me anywhere. All these years, whether it was Crimson Circle or any other group, all these years, look at me. I'm a mess. I'm worn out. I'm broke. I have nothing. People don't like me. I smell bad. And I give up. I'm just going to fade into life. That's actually really good when you get to that point. First of all, you're not going to fade into life. You're not just going to go back to being common at all. But what's good about that is you've finally given up. You finally stop trying to be spiritual. Stop trying for ascension. The enlightenment is here. I asked you before, why did you wait? Assuming You could have just done it a couple lifetimes ago or earlier in this lifetime. It's already here. All the preparation's been done. All the processing's been done. All the getting yourself ready. It's here. So stop trying. But in that question, in that answer to the question, when you say stop trying, that would indicate then if you stop trying that it's going to be here, because it already could have been. And that brings it back to my first question, what are you waiting for? Don't think about it, though, because you'll drive yourself crazy thinking about it. You'll start going through all these mental gyrations. You're not going to be able to figure it out. But you can let yourself feel it and realize it and get that aha. It's not a bad reason. No, it's not a negative reason or anything. It's a very deep reason. It's a very pure, real reason. When you hear yourself chatter, 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 put it away. Because the answer is just a few simple words. You realize it, and when you do, you realize that you're ready. And that's going to be scary. You realize that it's time for some responsibility, if you want to call it that. It's not really responsibility so much as it's just time. And when you get that very simple, profound, pure answer to within yourself, why have you waited? What are you waiting for? You know then you're ready. Then you have to answer that one more question from yourself. Are you ready right now? I can already tell you the answer. Once you realize why you've waited, once you get that, you can't wait anymore. You can't delay it anymore. Let's take a deep breath with that. Oh, I love you guys. I love that we don't have to be all holy and sacred here. I love that you let yourself feel some of the deepest, deepest feelings.
2 hours.
So let's turn down the lights a little bit and in just a moment bring up some sweet music. But before we do, I just want to once again thank you, acknowledge each and every one of you. Acknowledge you for who you are, not what you're doing together as a group, what you're doing as yourself. I know it's difficult, and I know how many times you could try to turn and run the other way. It doesn't work, but how many times you could try to bury your head in the sand. It doesn't work so well either. How many times you could have just gone into total Makyo. But here you are. Here you are. I do want you to carefully feel into this question on why you could have been embodied a couple of lifetimes ago, or even this lifetime. Why did you wait? There is a beautiful gift in that. Don't think about it. Just feel it. Feel into it. It will provide you with the answer you've been looking for a long time. But right now, let's switch gears into the Mirab. My second question, what's the last thing a human does before the realization of their enlightenment? It's kind of a little bit of a play on words because I said, what's the last thing a human does? Like there's something that has to be done, but not really. Let's just stop trying. Stop trying. Now, that may seem a little counterintuitive, like, oh no, but don't I need to be doing something? No. Don't I need to be studying, Adamus? No. Don't I need to be doing 15 minutes of deep breathing daily? No, not really. Don't I need to really just absolutely watch my diet? No. Don't I need to think spiritual thoughts? Nope. Well, then what the hell am I supposed to do? Nothing. Nothing. Do whatever you want. Go for a bike ride. You know, you might want to do some of the things around the house that you haven't been doing. Change the light bulb that's been burned out for 6 months now. I know makes you feel like you're just so human, but, you know, you might want to do that. Fix that broken handle on the door. You know, I know it's not real spiritual, but since you don't have anything else to do, you might as well do that. Do anything you want. Because this is the time right now, kind of a real time of evolution, transformation, whatever you want to call it, where you're being asked to just stop all that human stuff. Because there's something compelling that goes beyond the human stuff. Something so compelling that goes far, far beyond what the human can try to manage, what the human thinks it has to manage. Compelling meaning so passionate, so real. So loving and so large. Let's not call it the soul. We're going to start moving beyond that word. It's all just you. It's not in a far off distant place. It doesn't have little fairy feather wings. It's just you. There's something that's so compelling. It's just so compelling, so passionate. It just has to be. It can't not be. And this is your realization, your enlightenment. What's going to happen? When a master gets to this point, last thing they do is stop trying, because they realize it was all ludicrous. It was all just the workings of a limited mind or personality. And they surrender to themselves, to the I am. They stop spewing Machio to themselves and to others. They stop wondering when and where and how. They stop trying to make enlightenment human. It's not the human that's responsible for this anyway. As long as the human thinks that it's the one doing it, the rest of the I am just sits back and patiently waits. When the human stops trying, stops efforting, stops structuring, then the compelling enlightenment, it comes. Well, the real way of saying that, then, because of the compelling nature, the natural nature of enlightenment, you realize it's always been there. I don't mean this as a game. It's not a play on words. When you just take a deep breath and stop trying, stop making enlightenment into a wrestling match. You feel that compelling, very compelling nature of your own realization. And then it happens. I like the word compelling. It means it has such a dynamic to it, such a passion to it. It's not an if or maybe or when or why. It's compelling, passionate. So compelling that you can't go wrong. It can't go wrong. Take this moment just to stop trying, just even in the brief couple of minutes here, to stop trying. Stop trying to figure it out. In this moment, feel the compelling nature of your enlightenment. Passionate. Present. This enlightenment doesn't compromise. It's not going to compromise or negotiate with the human. Not at all. No need to. It doesn't play the games of power or the games of the mind. So compelling that it knows what's going to happen. Take a deep breath with that. I know you, the human, you're tired, often confused, wondering what next. Just take a deep breath. This enlightenment, it's beyond you. I mean, beyond your limitations. This realization, nothing that has to be structured or planned. It just needs to be received. Very compelling meaning. It already knows that it's realized. It already knows that it's fulfilled. It's not a goal. It's not a goal for the I am. So compelling that it's already there. Just wants to share that with the human. It's already realized, fulfilled. Compelling meaning. It's already happened. Just wants to share that with you. But you gotta stop trying. You gotta stop thinking that you're gonna make it happen. that you have to make it happen. This isn't a maze. This isn't some huge puzzle that you're being asked to figure out. That would be cruel. Just that. It's time to stop trying. Please. No, well, that sounds so simple. The human thinks that, well, I have to be doing something. Okay. Change that light bulb. Fix the broken handle. Sweep your garage. Go for a walk. Buy a dog. Love a dog. It doesn't really matter, but just stop trying to be enlightened. The human is never going to figure it out. It's not your responsibility anyway. Just for you to receive it. This thing of enlightenment is so compelling. It's already here. I had so much passion to it, so much expression to it that it's already here. Therefore, you cannot take any wrong turns. You cannot do it wrong. You can avoid it. You can wait like you've been doing for a couple lifetimes. But the compelling nature of the I Am makes it so it's already here. It'll be a couple months before we're back together again like this in our shout. I'll miss it. I'll be talking in other groups, but I'll miss it. I'm going to leave you with a big one between now and then. What are you waiting for? Don't give yourself the Machio answers that many of you gave today. That's window dressing. That's kind of covering it up. The answer comes, it'll come very simply, very clearly. What are you waiting for? And when it comes, then you'll really be ready. In the meantime, my dear friends, I'll be traveling the world with Caldra and Linda, going to places far and beyond, not just on this planet, but in all the realms. And in my absence from the physical realm with you, please know that indeed we are together every step of the way. And in so, all is well in all of creation. Thank you for your indulgence. Thank you.